So, just like that, Germany, the best team in the world, gone. Just like that, gone. Out. I cannot believe it. I can't, no. They've never been knocked out of the group stages before. 16 World Cups. And they've never, ever not made it through the group stages. This World Cup continues to blow my expectations. It has been the best World Cup I've ever watched, and we're only just over halfway. It's going to only get better as well. I can't get my head around it. Germany are not going to be in the knockout stages. It has to be, for me, the worst German side I've ever seen. Not in terms of individual talent, but just in terms of performance. They were absolutely shocking. Not just against Korea, against Sweden when they just about scraped through that last minute winner, which, by the way, I thought was going to turn their tournament around. I thought, right, they'll thrash Korea now, they'll make it through, and as I predicted before the tournament began, they'll be there in the final. Boy, was I wrong, because they played terribly today, terribly against Sweden, and arguably even worse against Mexico. They had chances, by the way. It's not like, they haven't played well enough to score. They just haven't scored. They've just been really bad. They've made chances but just not buried them, which of course is not good enough in a World Cup. But you can't sit there and defend it. You can't say that Germany deserved to go through, because they quite simply didn't deserve it. And I'm so happy that both Mexico and Sweden have gone through. And you've got to give credit to Korea as well. Already out before the game started. This game literally meant nothing to them but pride. And that is exactly what they're going to get from this match. A 2-0 win against the current world champions. They won't be soon. It's just a remarkable result. And again, VAR in the middle of everything. Today, it was on point. It's been up and down throughout the tournament for me. There's certain times where we're using it when I don't think we should be, and there's times where we're not using it when we should be. There's been examples of good and bad VAR usage, but today it was absolutely on point with the South Korea first goal. It looked like it was offside. It looked like it came off a Korean player, and it didn't. If you haven't seen it already, Kroos just knocks it backwards. I think it was a bit of a mistake. It fell to a Korean player who was offside, but because it came off Kroos, it's not an offside offence. He puts it into the top right corner in the final moments of the game. That was it for Germany. So they've gone to VAR. It's been checked over. The referee can clearly see it's not an offside offence because it hasn't come off a Korean teammate. And it's a goal. And just like that, the game has justice. Okay? It's fair. That is when VAR or VAR should be used. And it was used perfectly there. It took 30 seconds to a minute. Just add that time on at the end. It really doesn't matter that much. You've got to get these decisions right. And I'm so fed up with seeing them go wrong. Over the many years I've been watching football, the amount of times, especially in the Premier League, against Arsenal, it seemed a lot of the time we were getting decisions against us like that, where a perfectly legal goal, penalty, or an injustice when it comes to getting a red card when it shouldn't have been, all these things happening, and we looked at other sports like, well, come on, cricket do it, rugby do it, why can't football? And we've got it. So I think VAR, in general, it should be here to stay, because it did a great job in today's game. And then Manuel Neuer playing as a midfielder in the final few minutes. I don't really get that. I obviously understand why they've done it. They might as well. But it seems a little bit silly when they needed to score 2 goals, not just 1. They had to win this game today. So they got punished, though. Neuer actually lost the ball in midfield. Funny that. He's a goalkeeper. He's not used to playing as an outfield midfielder. I mean, yes, okay, sure, he's great with the ball at his feet. I'm sure in training he often plays outside of the goal if they need him to. But when it comes to a World Cup game, even if it is Korea, who aren't exactly the best squad in the World Cup, you don't put your goalkeeper in midfield, because he lost it with a poor touch. He's not match fit in that type of situation, let's be honest. He's not match sharp. He's out of position massively. The goal is completely open. They just ping the ball down for Heung-min Son, one of the quickest players in the tournament for sure, and makes it 2-0 and completes a historic win for Korea. And Germany finish bottom of the group. Sweden go through after beating Mexico 3-0, and Mexico go through because Germany failed to win, which is exactly how this group should have gone. Mexico deserved to go through purely because of their great performance against Germany. One of the best games I've seen in a long time from an underdog. And now it's quite obvious as to why they were able to win that game. Germany just did not turn up this entire tournament. It was not a one-off. They were just poor. And I'll talk about that more in a second, especially the team selection that Joachim Low went with. But I think that's the way it should have been. Mexico going through and also Sweden. If you haven't seen the highlights from the Mexico game today, they were fantastic. 3-0 winners on the day. They were very, very unlucky to lose against Germany. I didn't think Germany deserved that winner. I don't think they were particularly good on the day. So to see them go through, Ellen's very happy. Her family's very happy, of course. So I'm happy. Sweden go through, and so do Mexico. But let's talk about the German squad selection, because that was big news before the tournament started. One player in particular, you know who I'm talking about here, and that is Sane, the young player of the year from the Premier League. Involved in, 33 goals in the Premier League this season with Man City, or in general with Man City for the season. That's more than any other player in that German squad. He's got pace, he's got skill, he's got intelligence, he's a game winner. Why are you not taking him? He was effectively replaced with Brandt. Don't get me wrong, great young German talent coming through the ranks at Bayer Leverkusen. He's a first-team player for them, and I'm sure eventually will end up at an even bigger European club at some point. He didn't even get used. Julian Brandt was a sub. He came on, I think, twice, maybe 3 times. I think he came on in every game, actually. Didn't look anything special. I think the team selection, not just with Sane, but certain players in the squad that shouldn't have been, was the issue. And I'm afraid that falls down to the manager. That was his decision. And there's no doubt in my mind that he's either going to step down or be removed, sacked, fired, because he can't stay now. There's no way in hell that he is going to keep his job. He's a fantastic manager. He's done so well for Germany. You know, think back to when they won the World Cup in 2014. He's arguably one of the best managers when it comes to successful nations. He really is. But this is so un-German-like. It's unbelievable. It's history in the making. It really is. People are going to remember this for a long, long time. Do you remember that World Cup when Germany had a fantastic squad but were just absolutely shite? Oh yeah, 2018 in Russia. They were awful, weren't they? Do you remember when Korea beat them 2-0? Oh, that was hilarious. That was the World Cup with VAR, wasn't it? The first one. It's just... Nah, there's no chance. For me, Neuer shouldn't have been in goal. Wasn't match fit. You could see he's not at his best. He didn't do bad, by the way, but I just think it shows a lack of... I don't want to say a lack of respect, but it does certainly show that he's going with players based off their name and not necessarily their form. Ter Stegen should have been in goal. No doubt about it. I'm not saying they would have changed the way they played. I don't think they necessarily would have gone through with Ter Stegen in goal, with that as the only change, but he should have been in goal based on form and not pick Neuer because he's the captain. He hasn't been playing. It's as simple as that. Taking Boateng, hasn't really been playing that much at Bayern over the last 2 seasons, and you could clearly see wasn't at his best, was poor. Süle came in today and was 2 times the player Boateng was. 2 times. Müller, I don't know what he's doing in the lineup. If he's not playing up front, don't put him on the right. I know Bayern do it sometimes. It works because in the Bundesliga, Bayern are quite literally the best team by a mile. You can get away with doing it there, but not at the World Cup. Müller was shocking. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Mesut Ozil. I know that he played in the first game, didn't play particularly well against Mexico, was dropped for the next game, and yes, they won the game somehow. Bringing him back into the lineup today, I thought, yeah, it's a good decision. Mesut Ozil is one of their most prolific players. You can't deny it. Mesut Ozil has been very, very successful for the for the German national team. Against Brazil 7-1, he was one of their main players. Shouldn't have been starting though. Let's be honest, they have plenty of other players that should be in that team. Sane is one of them. Sane, how is he not at the tournament? Players like Khedira, you could see just wasn't match fit, just wasn't up to the pace. Great player, but Goretzka could have played in that position instead. Rudy could have played there. So many other players. Even Emre Can maybe could have got in. You know, it just blows my mind that Joachim Low has quite literally gone with players based off their name. He really has, and it's It's cost them dearly. I don't think that he will ever live this down. I really don't see him staying. He will be fired, or at least he'll probably be stepping down. Wouldn't surprise me if we hear it tonight. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of retirements as well. I'm not sure who they will be, but maybe a few German players. Actually, if you think about the squad, none of them are like archaic. Maybe Gomez is going to announce retirement. And you know what? I'm going to make a bold prediction, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of the other 30-ish-year-olds retire. Maybe Khedira is going to say that's enough. Maybe even Neuer. Maybe even someone like Mesut Ozil. They're going to be so low and so disappointed that they just cannot be bothered anymore. And it might not happen. It's unlikely, I guess, with someone like Mesut Ozil who will quite possibly go to the next World Cup. It's such a huge shock to the world, and a lot of players will be frowned upon forever now from the German nationality. You know, a lot of people watching these performances will be thinking, you do not deserve to be wearing that German shirt anymore. And you know, maybe they'll be stepping down and letting some of the youngsters come through. But the biggest winners today were, of course, Mexico and Sweden and Sane, because he'll be sitting there at home chuckling away saying, I could have won you some of these games, because he quite literally could have. If you look at the German team, they didn't have an outlet. Royce is not really a winger. Brandt wasn't even used. He's a winger. They had Muller playing on the wing. Draxler playing on the wing. They needed someone like Sane. How he hasn't gone, I don't know. So, yeah, the World Cup continues to be absolutely unbelievable. If you're enjoying it, then make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can hear my reviews and my thoughts on what's going on. I do plan on doing that VAR video at some point. I might actually wait until the World Cup's over so we get more of a look into how it's panned out. It could be at the end of the tournament everyone loves it and it was just early tournament issues. I think it will get ironed out over time, but maybe just 1 month isn't enough. But you get what I mean. Maybe just to get a bit more experience watching it. But definitely a hot topic. For me today, VAR was quite literally perfect. Maybe one or two little things to help speed it up, giving teams the ability to actually ask for VAR, maybe give them 3 calls per game, something like that. But this is something I can talk about in that video. So thank you for watching, guys. Goodbye, Germany. You will be missed. 100%. It's not going to feel like a World Cup without them. But hey, it's football. And I will see you guys in the next video. Probably the next one will be the England-Belgium game, which I cannot wait for.